Okay, friends, how are you? As promised, here is the little video for those of you who are now all homeschooling because you are all part of this amazing club now, the Homeschool Mom Club. It's kind of interesting because if you think about it, when you get pregnant, even if you're like me and it's a completely big shock every time, you still have 9 months to prepare, right? And so if somebody was choosing to homeschool, they usually have some time to prepare. Like it's been on their mind, they're listening to some cool podcasts, they are reading and they've researched a bunch of things and they have some time to figure it out. But a lot of you are being thrown into this, and it's like you just found out you're getting a baby and you're getting that baby today, and you have to hurry and figure out how to raise it and do all these things with it. So welcome to the challenge. You guys are awesome. As you are thrown into this arena, some of you may feel scared. And I just wanted to let you know that it's okay to feel scared and okay to feel nervous because this may be something you've never done before or even ever had a desire to do. But here you are, you're going to be thrown into it. So a lot of times when we have something that we haven't done before, we're nervous and we're scared, and it's okay, right? And just being able to move ahead with it, to kind of lean into that being afraid and have courage and move forward anyway. So this is a little bit different than if I were somebody coming to me, a client coming to me and saying, okay, I want to homeschool. This is like kind of my plan. This is what's working. Or we've been homeschooling for a while and here's some bumps in the road that we need help with. So this is interesting because a lot of you may only be homeschooling for 2 weeks. I think some schools have closed for 6 weeks, a couple months, stuff like that. But I know not everybody plans on doing this long term. Especially I know I've had working moms reach out to me that adds in some complications too. So just like it's a little bit interesting to say, here is advice for homeschooling for 2 weeks, or 6 weeks or whatever your school is doing. So it's a little bit different how I would approach it. And so I've taken your questions, some of the things I know that, I've been homeschooling for 12 years now. I've done every grade, every age. And so I've seen it all, especially and then adding in clients and girlfriends and co-ops, I've seen it all, right? So if I don't answer your question or you still have more questions, make sure you email me, the hippiemamablog@gmail.com. You can also check out my website, coachmegthomas.com, and in there you can sign up for a free session. I'm not going to try to sell you on anything, but if you just want to do like a little free little chat or anything like that, then I'm more than happy to help. So let's begin. So it's kind of interesting. There are kind of two different thoughts. You have and I kind of want to compare it to, you have a new baby and you have breastfed babies and you have bottle fed babies, right? And then you maybe have some people say this way's better. No, this is why this way is better. But at the end of the day, the baby that is fed is the best. I've had breastfed babies, and this cute little guy you can see right there would not nurse. He couldn't nurse. We tried everything and he ended up on a bottle, and he finally was gaining weight. All those types of things, and I had to come to peace with a fed baby is the best baby. So you kind of have a homeschool mom and a learning coach, and that's kind of the same thing, that at the end of the day, it's just great that your kid's learning something. That maybe some people are like, learning coach is the best way because it's somebody else teaching your kids or a curriculum you're using, and you're just kind of helping make sure that they're doing it. And a homeschool mom being like, no, it's amazing, I get to create the curriculum and do it towards my kids' needs. So at the end of the day is what I'm saying is it's just great that your kid's getting taught. So if your school is sending you a curriculum, that's more of like a learning coach style, which is awesome, which is a lot of fun, and it takes a lot of the stress off of you. I know there are also, I don't know the website, but American Heritage, probably if you just Google American Heritage School in American Fork, Utah, they have an online program and they're giving it away for free until June. I have lots of friends that love this program, love this curriculum. I'm actually speaking at their big homeschool conference in a couple of months, and so really great school, great thing. So they're offering it for free for a couple months if you don't want to create a curriculum and stuff like that. So anyways, this is just to help you for the next couple weeks, right, as you start in school. So I love to ask, as you begin this journey, what are you hoping to create by having your kids home? So this may be like, if you're just like, actually, I don't even want my kids home. Like, I just want to not kill them by the end of the week. I would like them not fighting the whole entire time. That's fine. What if you're like, this is a really awesome time that we can come closer together as a family. I'm so excited to spend more family time together. All the sports are canceled. Extracurricular activities are canceled. Kids aren't playing with the neighborhood kids, right? Like, what an amazing opportunity for your family to come together. So kind of get a picture of what it is that you would like to create, because it's really hard to decide what you want to do and where you want to go if you don't know what it is you're trying to create. Maybe you are passionate about education and you're like, I would love to see the spark back in my kids' eyes about education, and or there are some topics I would love them to be learning about that they don't learn in school, that I'd love to do this. What if you're really passionate about craft stuff, baking? I haven't been in schools for a long time, so I don't know everything that's offered at a school, but I know, I guess my kids have done a little bit of stuff, but if there's a subject or something you really want them to learn, like, this is a great time. Gardening, I don't think they do that at school, right? This is a great time to learn some of those skills, but even a lot of adulting skills is what I like to call them, and learning how to cook and organize and do their own laundry. I'm trying to think, kind of manage all these types of things. I have in our podcast, and it's mine and Karen's, and she's at Teach Beside Me, and she has a ton of fun printables and curriculum idea if you want to check her out. But we have a podcast called to Homeschool that can answer some of these questions too, that if you're like, I just want to know about this one topic, how do I do this with the newborn? There's a subject on that. There's a whole podcast episode on that. You can find that on any major podcast things, or you can go on my YouTube channel and see them all there. So anyways, decide what it is that you want to create so you know which path to take, right? Because if you don't know where you're trying to go, then it doesn't matter what you do or what path you're on, right? And it's okay if it's as simple as, like, I just want these 2 weeks to not be awful. Okay, great. Now you have a trajectory, you have a plan, you know what you want to do, right? So that's really great. So, habits are an interesting thing, because once you kind of have a habit ingrained, it's kind of hard to break. And if you've ever noticed that you're driving somewhere and you're kind of checking out, your brain will just kind of go into autopilot. And it's super great because it conserves energy. And just think about, like, even if you're in the shower and you get out of your routine and you think, I don't know if I washed my hair. Did I just put conditioner in my hair, or was that shampoo? I don't know. Now I have to do the whole thing over because I got out of that habit. So they can kind of be tricky, because when you have, well, they're great, right? Because they save brain power. I don't have to think about tying my shoes. I don't have to think about buttoning. I watched my one guy learning cursive, and it was like he had to really just slow it down and think, and I don't have to think anymore for my cursive, right? It goes into that autopilot thing. So this is a really good time to help your kids develop some amazing habits. Now, the only tricky part is it takes sometimes a little bit more than 2 weeks to develop a habit, but it would still be great to be getting some things going, right? And so helping them create some good habits of getting up and getting ready. And you don't have to get up super early, because you don't need to be out on the bus and do all these things. So kind of decide together as a family, like, what are habits we want to create? What are things that we want in our life? Like, we want to be up by 7:30, and we start with scriptures and was reading scriptures, and we want to be in the habit of people going and getting their chores done and getting ready and making breakfast, and like, these are the habits we want to have. I'm not trying to sell my program, but I am going to talk a little bit about it just so you're aware of it. But in it, that's what part of it is creating good habits for your kids, of helping them be well balanced in 6 different areas. And so everything that they're doing is about building these good habits. So they're doing their own laundry, they're cooking for themselves, cleaning the house, hygiene, all those types of things. Emotional stuff, taking ownership of their emotions. So it's just all these little habits we're mentoring all the time. So this is a really great time to really think, like, what are habits that we want in our family, because you can slow down now. And that's one of the awesome things about homeschool, is because it's not hurrying and rushing to get out, like, go, 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 go. You can just stop and take a breath and just relax for a minute and just say, okay, what is it that we want for our family? And so now we can start building those habits to help us get there. And it's a really, really awesome thing. So with school and everything like that, I don't know exactly what your school do be doing, if it's offering a curriculum that it's going to be giving to you. But if it's not an all-day thing, and hopefully it's not, because school doesn't really last all day long, because you have recess and you have lunchtime and PE and all these types of things. So if you have a curriculum where they're on the computer or they do worksheets or something like that, I would highly recommend doing them in the morning, because that's when their brains are fresh and alert and ready to go. And then save the afternoons for some of those fun things. Handicrafts, baking. Good laws, we're going to be canning jam and making bread just because stores are out of everything, right? So we thought it'd be fun to kind of do some of those homemaking skills, and we've been reading Little House on the Prairie, so the kids are all sorts of excited for it. So just kind of having those fun things, being outside, all that awesome stuff in the afternoons. Now, this is one of the things that has made me giggle the most, as I've seen great ideas posted. My favorite is the itinerary for you and your children to do all day long. And it was like 8 to 8:30 we do this, and 9:30 to this we do this. And it is so scheduled out that it is like the worst vacation itinerary ever, because it is going to drain you. I am not like, okay, and now we're going to do this, and now we're going to do this. Like, I am not there to entertain them all day long. I make sure I basically, like, we do our school, and we're mentoring habits, and we're doing all this fun stuff, and then they're figuring it out life on their own. And I'm okay with my kids being bored, because that's where creativity is in boredom, right? And so not being able to just turn on the TV and checking out on phones and checking out on this stuff, but really like kind of pulling back from the world, because right now it's kind of negative what's in there, and it's kind of scary. Honestly, I got wrapped up in it too, and I don't normally get wrapped up in stuff like that, but I had to pull away from some social media and some news because I was kind of getting freaked out and all worried too. And so just being bored and finding out what it is I like for the kids, right? Like maybe you could provide some craft supplies or some recipes, but you don't have to be monitoring it the whole time. And it's just great if you can be in the other room or doing something for yourself, right? And so they know you're there if they need you, but just start to figure out being outside with some tools, climbing a tree, building something, and really discovering the world and getting this hands-on, wonderful, amazing, awesome experience. But yeah, so you don't have to entertain them all the time. That's exhausting. When I saw that cute little itinerary, I just thought, oh, you wouldn't last a week with that. Like, you would be so exhausted. I would see why you would want your kids to be back in school. Like, this is so exhausting. But homeschool doesn't have to be exhausting, right? Like, you just get into a good routine, good habits, and like plan on some bumps in the road, right, as you're figuring those out. But then once it gets going, it's just a well-running machine that's going. So with that being said, if you I was going to tell you what some of our subjects are. So if you do want to supplement with some of the things, so we do language arts, and we do it through the good and the beautiful. So if you are looking to supplement language arts, the good and the beautiful has a great program. It has art appreciation in it. It has all the basic language things. It has writing, all sorts of stuff, and it's free, I believe, from kindergarten to 5th grade. So especially if you don't need a whole packet, if you're just going to do this for a little while, that could be a great option for you to try out for those younger grades. I just have that for my writing, but in the past we've done letters for writing, we've done creative stories, so having a little paper with empty space at the top, and they can draw a picture and just write a little bit about it, and just making it this fun, enjoyable experience. Let's see, language arts, that's what we do. So math, I do teaching textbooks, and it's an online program. It works for us because then I don't have to be checking everybody's math, and that was one of the things that had become the most time consuming for me, was teaching everybody their math and then checking everybody's math. So I went to an online program because it just became too much. So I use teaching textbooks for that if you want to supplement with math. Let's see, on the computer also we have Duolingo, so they can learn any language they want, and we have typing. And I want to say the website is just freetypinggames.net or something like that. You can literally Google like free typing games. It's one of the ones that comes up. So that's the stuff that they do on the computer. Then we have literature. For literature, I have my kids read classic books. And so if they're younger, some great ones are Where the Red Ferns Grows, especially if you love to make children cry. That one will do wonders. Pollyanna's a great one. Let's see, Little Princess, stuff like that. Those are great books. I believe, let's see, on the podcast we have book recommendations, and I believe they're not all classics. They're mixed in with some of like the fun ones that still have quality to them, aren't overly sexual or overly violent, but they're a little bit more fun than like Fablehaven type books, right? Where it's just kind of fun and lighthearted, but not necessarily a classic. So science, that's a really fun one to do if you want to add that in on your own. I actually love to do, what we've done lately is we have so many science books because we have done homeschool for so many years. So each week what we're doing this term is having somebody pick a book. And so today, I got to pick today, and it was about beetles. I had this cool book about beetles. And then we went and watched some really awesome YouTube videos about the dung beetle, which is disgusting, and the Hercules beetle and all these giant beetles. And we watched them from like the larva stage, and it was awesome. It was so gross. And then they each take turns reading this little book. I actually love picture books, especially for some of these subjects. Never discount the amount of a good picture book can do for your school. It's something easy and kids usually love it. So that's what we do a lot for science, is something fun and easy. You could also find an experiment, something that you could do if you want to do experiments and stuff like that. History, oh geez. So some of these I love to just say, what do you want to learn about? Because your kids are motivated so much more when they get to pick the topic. So if you have history, I feel like every homeschooler has studied the American Revolution to death. And so my kids are like, can we take a break from that? So my daughter recently did Joan of Arc and studied kind of that time period. Right now, Brig wanted to do ancient Egypt. And so I just go and find books for them about that topic. Let's see, what else? Oh, character books. Now this is what I love. One of the things I love is that, oh, I just found something on the couch. So with character books, they're really great books like Mindset and The Power of Habit and Essentialism and The Obstacles Away, which has a little bit of language in it. But those are like 7 Habits for Highly Effective Teens, Do Hard Things. So they're all these awesome books that I just have them read one at a time, one a term, and they're really just good character books. Four Agreements is another awesome one that I really like, that a lot of my kids have liked. So that one's a really good one I add in when they are about 11 or 12. Now, one of the topics that I remember in my own, school journey, that's the word I'm looking for. Like you kind of learned about finances, but it was just random things, not necessarily applicable things. So finances and economics is something I love being able to really teach my children about. So if you've ever seen them on the infomercial for Tuttle Twins, love their books. They're so great to learn about economics. Those ones are super fun and colorful. You could use them for read alouds, kids to read them on their own, anything like that. So that's a really great series. I also love the Uncle Eric books, and his covers finances and economics that are really great. And you could start with Whatever Happened with Penny Candy. I just dropped the D. Penny Candy, which is a really great one where to start to learn about economics and finances. So that's one that I really love adding into that subject. Let's see. And then if you have music, I have a couple musicians. They just kind of do it on their own, but I've had it as a school subject before just to give them time to practice their instrument. And now they practice their instruments all the time, so I don't really have to put it as part of their school anymore. So that's kind of some of the ideas that you could do if you want to add in a few subjects. If you don't want to just do what the school is giving you, if you want to add in a little bit more, kind of pick and choose and say, okay, so the school is going to give us language arts and a book to read, but I think that sounds really fun to add in a history one. Or I think that sounds really fun to add in finances, right? Or a character book or something like that about all that type of stuff. So you can pick that, which is, I love the flexibility with that. Let's see. Oh yeah, so there is a podcast episode on books that it has for younger children, I think like non-readers, beginning readers, tweens, teens. So we have a bunch of cards on my favorite books for those different genres. So those are fun. So if you want some book ideas, go check out those episodes. Let's see. Okay, this was another question I had. So what about homeschooling different ages? And it's funny, I actually I am a curriculum, what did I call it? Mentor? What did I even call that? I can't find it now. Oh, a learning coach. So I'm a learning coach for my oldest 3 kids, and I homeschool the other 3 kids, and then the baby just runs wild. And so I actually loved when I had all 6 of them. It was a lot more work, right? But I loved having the diverse ages, because sometimes you could talk about something a little bit harder and the little ones would keep up. And there was a really cool dynamic with that. We did some fun stuff where we would study Shakespeare, and then they would write their own version and make a play with it. And now that it's just the 3, they're like, that's not as fun without everybody, right? So there's some cool stuff you can do with the different ages. But so here's some of like what I do. So my older 3, they're on their own and they don't really want to join us anymore. Like they're all in their college classes and that's what they like to do. And so I don't require the older kids to come in and do school with us. Now it's really fun to do read aloud, and I know there's a podcast episode about that. But it's a really great way to connect with your kids, make learning fun. Some of the fun books, I know there's the podcast episode, but I'm trying to think of The Green Ember. Oh, I hope that's the name of it. It's right there behind me. But the one with the rabbits. Yeah, Ember Rising, Ember Falls, The Green Ember. That's what it's called. So, and the new one comes out finally. That one so the 4th one will be out this month. We're super excited for it. That's one. Moon Over Manifest is a really good one for read alouds. Hatchet, if you have young kids, Hatchet's really awesome. It's a little boy who has to survive in the Canadian Rockies with just a hatchet. So if you have anyone who's outdoorsy, but my girls loved it too. And my Tess used to carry a hatchet around with her, like Hatchet, outside. So anyways, that was a fun one. But so I do read aloud with everybody. And if you have a wild toddler, like it's great if you can get them something to do right with you, Play-Doh, magnetic blocks, things like that, things that aren't a distraction, or you could just do it when they're asleep. Or maybe a bigger kid could take them and play with them for a little bit to kind of do that with the ages. So you don't have to I just do read aloud on one subject of a day together. And then other than that, we break apart. And I do what I call Minute with Mom. And there is a YouTube video on my channel all about Minute with Mom. And it's terrible quality of the camera. So sorry about that, but that's life. And so anyways, Minute with Mom is basically where I'm checking up on their work. And I do it from, so they do their work, let's say on Monday. So when I meet with them on Tuesday, I'm checking their Monday's work and seeing how everything went. And it's a time for us just to talk and to laugh and to have a good time. Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes they have a lot to tell me, right? But everybody gets their Minute with Mom. And then the other kids, I'm teaching to be independent learners. And so if you have, about 3rd grade is when I have them become independent learners. And if your kids have been in school, you may have them already be pretty independent learners. So that could be a really awesome thing, but that they get that time with you that's kind of special to really connect with them. Like, how are you doing? How do you like this book? And it's really fun if you've read the book before, or you're reading it along with them, so that you can really talk about the book and ask really engaging questions. And it's something fun that you could really bond over. So that's kind of how I do different ages, is I do a little bit of it together and then I break one-on-one. When they're younger, I do all their school with them. And so I don't know what that will look like if you guys can do that with some of those younger grades, or if you just, or if they're independent. But either way, I do a little bit where I check in on with each kid every day. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of our school day. Okay, let's see, what else? What other questions did I have? I think I answered all the questions I got. I'm sure there are some I probably missed. But it's just Like, this is such an amazing opportunity, and it's still blowing my mind how the world is shutting down right now, how churches shut down, schools obviously shut down, I think courtrooms are shut down, grocery stores. I went to Costco today and you had to wait in a line because they only allowed so many people in at a time. And so it's very interesting, excuse me. It's very interesting how just it's bringing our families in closer together. And like, this is a beautiful opportunity to grow closer together, to create things that you want, and maybe to get rid of some bad habits that have started festering in your kids, and to bring that connection closer together. And so if you do have any more questions, or you get into this and you're like, I'm stuck, I kind of have to homeschool because the schools are still closed, and like my teen is fighting with me, they don't want to do this. Like I said, you can email me any questions you want. We can sign up for a session so we can just talk one-on-one privately and answer some of your questions and give you some direction and help. Because I've seen it all with school, and I know all of it can be like, everything is just a problem to be solved. Like, everything can be figured out. And so when you have like something pop up that's just like, okay, this isn't working, it's just like, it's not throw your hands up like all is lost, I don't know what to do. It's like, okay, we just need to figure out a different way to go about it. So anyway, I love homeschooling. Super excited you're in the homeschool fam forever. What am I trying to say? Forever. It's late, can you tell? I can't think of how I'm trying to say that. Forever, how long? Bless my heart. That you are a part of this club, that you always have a special place in my heart, and I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm excited to answer any questions you may have. So anyway, email the hippiemamablog@gmail.com or my website, coachmegthomas.com, and anyway, we'll go from there. Let me know if you have any other questions. All right, see you guys.